Good morning. How are you this Saturday morning? Oh gosh, starting off well this morning. I hit the wrong button. Great. Okay, here we go. How are you this morning? It's the 23rd of April, 2022, and I'm on time, but my camera was being weird. It might be weird the whole day. I don't know what was going on. It was just dark. It wasn't crisp. Now it's really looking good. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what happened. I pressed a few buttons to try and fix it. It looks like I did. But yeah, how are you? Saturday morning, used to sleep in or try to when I was younger. Not so much anymore. Kind of get up because I don't want to sleep anymore. Time's going by fast. Is this going to be a chill stream? Well, no. I don't think it's going to be a chill stream, but it could be. It could end up being a chill stream. Just depending on how it goes. I don't know. I've kind of had some things going on. I had the microphone the last couple of days. It's been really loud, so I tried to turn that down a bit. I'm worried that I'm going to be too soft. You know, I'd like you to hear my booming voice. But let's go over today. Today we're going to go show some houses. It's Saturday. So much weird random stuff to go over, and in a way it's like I don't want to drag things out that are like, you know, that could be explained in 2 minutes, but at the same time, I want to try to kind of tell the story right. There's so many things. So anyway, let's go with today. Today, I will, like I said, show some houses. Then I'm going to meet some clients at a house or at a building that they bought. They're having an open house, and I'm going to go solo. My wife isn't going to be able to make it today, which is disappointing because I think it's going to be a good time. And then that's it. Will I have a live stream tonight? Yes. Yes, at 9. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't at this point. Now, things can change. I might get some more showings during the afternoon, but I've got a pretty good list of topics to talk about tonight already set up. So it should be a real barn burner, as they say. As for today, what are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to talk about the showings that I had last night. We're going to talk about a Google search trends article I found fascinating. We're going to talk about I had some decent news, relatively decent news, and then we're going to talk about some articles, and that'll be it. Oh goodness! We'll also talk about. We'll also take a look at luxury homes in Boston, Massachusetts. Most of them are going to be townhomes, which, as you know, I like these single-family homes that are detached. But in Boston, you know, the place that it is, it's kind of tough. Yeah, we're going to talk about when referring lenders to clients. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about some of the housing market trends data back from March. And you say, well, John, why do we look at the March data if we are already at the end of April? Well, part of the problem is there's a time delay on getting all the data. So say something closes the last day of March, you still need like a week and a half for all that data to come in. You're not required in my MLS, and this is just one of them, you're not required to have anything in the MLS. You can have up to 2 business days after a transaction to close it out. I think it's 2. It might even be longer. I don't wait more than 2 though. So that's why the data takes longer. The other thing is, you know, is it true? Is it in line with what I'm seeing in my own business? I think that's relevant. I think it's important to kind of, you know, if people are saying this, is this what I'm seeing? You know, if it is what I'm seeing, that's nice. If it's not what I'm seeing, I think disseminating the information to others like you can only make it go better. So anyway, let's just get into it. I had a joyful moment yesterday. I had a new buyer client call me for the first time, and I really enjoyed the conversation. I like how do I explain it? I like to learn about people, and I like to learn, what are they motivated? How are they motivated to go forth and buy a house? What's the motivation? For instance, if you have someone call you and let's say they call you at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night and they want you to go show a house in what I would consider less than the right part of town. And they want me to show it within 15 minutes. Okay. That person is probably not a real buyer. They are either somebody looking to murder me, or someone's being paid by the NGOs to enforce state housing laws and national housing laws. But they are not serious about buying a house. And you kind of tell that when you just talk to them. They're very direct. They're very pushy, and that's not how a normal home buyer, a traditional home buyer, would go about it. A traditional home buyer, when they're interested in buying a house, they will call you. They will tell you the motivation for why they're going to buy a house or why they want to buy a house, and then it has to be somewhat relevant. So this particular client called and they said that the house that we have, we've outgrown it. We just need a bigger house. This is just not going to work. And I told him, I said, this is really, really hot time in the market right now. This is really tough. And they said, hey, we don't care. We understand. We're just had enough. We've been waiting around for the last 3 months thinking that things were going to change, and it hasn't, and we just need to get out. And so I said, okay, all right, then let's get to it. And so we talked about it. But one of the things I wanted to bring up with you, and this is the kind of value that I hope to bring to our channel, that is, he called me and he told me two things. He said, three things. He said, John, we bought this house because, number one, it looked good in photos, because it was a fix and flip. Two, it looked cheap relative to the other homes. And so that's one of the things that's fascinating. And he said it's also on a slab. So let's go over the three things: cheap, on a slab, and fix and flip. This is a pure combination for disaster when purchasing a new home. Let's go over. Now, understand this can be what's the word I'm looking for? Regional, because maybe if you're in Texas, you don't have basements. Maybe if you're in Florida, you don't have basements. But in the Midwest and St. Louis, 90% of all the homes are built with a basement of some kind. So it's very common and very important. But what happens is on a slab home, they make them larger. In the listing, it comes across let's just say, well, which would you rather have? Let's say there's a 1,500 square foot house with a basement, and then there's an 1,800 square foot without a basement. Which would you rather have? You would rather have the 1,500 square foot home with a basement. Why? Because you've got a whole basement. The 1,800 square feet is just literally the concrete where they put the furnace. There's a utility room for that and the air conditioning. Now, the second part of it that's tricky is all of a sudden, say you've seen 30 single family homes that are 1,500 square feet as a listing with basements, and the price is, let's just go with $250,000. That might be a little low for right now in a marketplace. And then you see a 1,800 square foot home listed for maybe $220,000, $210,000. Well, that's a deal. That is a deal. So you go look at that house, and then when you're like, well, where's the basement? Then you find out. And they are cheaper. Okay. So now he told me, he said, I bought this house because it was cheaper. I didn't know any better. I was my first home purchase. And you know what? He should have used me as an agent. You say, well, why would he have done that? Well, because I would have told him, hey, no slabs, no slabs, no, no fix and flips. And you say, well, John, that's not right. You shouldn't do that. A fix and flip can be a really great thing. And so I said, okay. Do you know how many people call me and say that they bought a fix and flip and it's terrible? And they have put everything that they saw that was fixed, quote unquote fixed, ended up being fixed poorly, incorrectly, and had to be replaced within the first 5 years of ownership. Oh, but the pictures were beautiful. So why are you paying a premium, which you do, for a fix and flip, only to go back and have to redo all the work later? Like, why? How in good conscience could I, as a real estate agent representing my buyer, tell someone, hey, it's a great idea to buy this fix and flip. There's a reason why the house sold. There's a reason why it was flipped. Okay, that's first off. First, you have to determine that reason. Was it structural? Was it water related? What was the reason? And then did the people that, did the work to fix the problem, quote unquote, did they do a good job? How are you going to know? You don't even know who did it. And on the disclosure, it says the seller never lived in the house. So now we have nothing to go on. So my thought is that if you really want to do it right, you buy a fix and flip on the second purchase. Okay, so let some idiot walk in there, buy a house, and just get dinged for everything they have to fix over time and be miserable and pay a premium. And then you buy it once that person who owns the house has lived in it and fixed all the problems that should have been fixed originally, gets them done, and then you move in. Then you buy the house. That's how you do it. You want to buy a fix and flip, you wait for the second purchase. You say, well, John, that's not the way it's done. You're not going to be able to get that house on the second purchase. Well, let me tell you something. Normally what happens when somebody buys a house that's a fix and flip, they've purchased it for so much more than any of the houses around it. They have no equity. Okay. And now they're sitting there fixing the house. Okay. They're not happy. They're miserable. And they don't, once the home of their dreams is crushed right in front of them and they have to pay for it even more, they typically just want to leave. They typically just want to get out. They don't care. They don't care. So you're not looking at like a 20-year ownership for these people. So anyway, I'm sorry, I got a text and I just wanted to check and make sure it wasn't. I did have my phones turned upside down on that one. So anyway, when you say, well, the fact that he bought a slab and the fact that he bought a fix and flip, okay, that's just one person, John. You have to understand that there's lots of people buying houses and they buy fix and flips and it doesn't harm them. Okay. I just get an awful lot of calls because someone bought one. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but boy, that was the perfect setup for why I don't want to buy either of those things. And it's going to look cheap. It's going to look cheap compared to the other houses. I was at a house in Baldwin, and it was a slab, and they had run the air conditioning through the floor. They had put it through the concrete. And over time, the galvanized metal that they used for the ducting corroded with the concrete. And now you've just got basically concrete spaces next to the ground that's pushing your cold air and hot air. That cannot be efficient. And what are you going to do, by the way? How are you going to fix that? It's terrible. It's terrible. And I'm going to go one step further. I believe that concrete contractors can pour a slab that doesn't crack. I believe they can. Now, does it ever happen? Not very often. Not very often. So I don't have any desire to own a slab home. If you have one, If you live in an area where it's all slabs, please understand that I'm not kicking you for it. What are you going to do? That's where, you know, that's what you buy there. That's what it is. But here in St. Louis, and you say, well, John, you say, hey, what, you know, I lost my train of thought. It was really a good one. But when I did the John thing, it reminded me of the llamas with hats cartoon. And then I got it messed up. I don't know. And I was thinking about Walmart for some reason. I think I was thinking about their concrete floors and how they get cracked and they have to fix them. Anyway, so like I said, I've seen, like, if you live somewhere where you're always going to have a slab, then that's fine. I'm not trying to criticize you. And maybe those people that live in those areas have learned how to build a house that's not terrible. But in St. Louis, oh, here we go. I remember it now. So in St. Louis, you say, well, John, you know, basements leak. Basements are terrible. Basements are problematic in many, many ways. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But just all things being equal, if a house has a basement or if a house has a slab, even if the basement leaks, you're still better off buying the house with the basement, as long as they disclose that it leaks. So that's where we were on that. I also yesterday showed houses. How many houses did I show? I showed one, but I was supposed to show two. The first house that we looked at, I wanted to go over because it was kind of interesting to me. One, the listing was set up differently in our showing time. It wouldn't give me any of the information until I got to the property. And by the time I got to the property, there were 4 people, 4 different groups already at the property inside. And then there was us. And then when we left, there was another 3. So, you know, you'll hear that the market is slowing down, and maybe it is. But when you have a house come to market and there's what, 8 people looking at the house at the exact same time, you know, 8 groups, that's 8 potential buyers. That's pretty good. That leads me to believe the house is going to sell. Now, what are the things about this house that is absolutely a no? Okay. Number 1, in the kitchen, there's a step up to this stove, sink. There's nothing wrong with that for those who don't notice it. But why would I want to buy a house where I could basically trip up the stairs? Why would I want that all the time? It's just dangerous. The second thing is that there's a bathroom off the kitchen, a full bathroom. And there's really no bedroom in the first floor. So kind of weird. You go downstairs. The stairs were very small for, like, I would say they were about 6 inches wide. So you have to step with the side of your foot. And even then it doesn't cover all of it. You go downstairs and there's a beautiful new, what I like to call the Home Depot carpet, which is this special carpet that I swear only Home Depot and Lowe's sells. It's a gray shag carpet, and I guess it's just the cheapest of the cheap, because I see it in every single house when someone decides to put in carpet. So they put in carpet on top of a basement concrete floor in the city with the limestone type basement. It's like rock. It's not poured concrete, and it's not cinder block, which I also don't like cinder block. But anyway, that's all going to get nasty when it rains, so I don't want to be there. And then in the upstairs, first of all, just to get upstairs, you have to go through these, again, same small, very small steps that were terrible. And there was a deck. When you go outside, the deck needed a significant amount of work and repair. And then the yard, honestly, look, if you're going to sell a house, okay, and you're going to clean up all, you know, you're going to paint, you're going to do all this stuff, cut the backyard, cut the grass. It's early spring here. Grass is growing. And even when you list a house, you know, have some sort of schedule together for cutting the grass, because the grass, I mean, you couldn't go in the backyard at all to look. It was all covered over, and it looked terrible. And there was no reason for it. It was just an unforced error, in my opinion, on the listing. So when we left, it was like, okay, fine. No, no. One of the things I saw that I wanted to share with you, though, if you've never seen it, because I had not seen it until today or yesterday, was it had a fan. Ooh, excuse me. Had a fan upstairs, a ceiling fan that was an automatically retractable fan. So it started off as a circle, and then it would just expand with centrifugal force. The blades would come out of it. And it also played Bluetooth. It had a speaker, which I thought was, I mean, that was a lot for a fan. I mean, I would have just been happy with it circulating air. But I guess here's I guess some of the weird things that happened when we were there. Number one of the agents that was there first parked in the alley. Okay, so now no one could get in and out of the alley, and the guy that's the neighbor of the house that's for sale was mad. He was mad, and he wanted to fight anybody. And I happened to be walking with my buyers to the backyard, and he's like, "Is this your Jeep?" And I'm like, "No, it's not. No, I don't have anything to do with this." And then my buyer got scared. One of the buyers was scared because the guy looked a little rough, but he didn't look like, she didn't like, he was one of those younger fellows that has a nice beard. Okay. Like he was maybe a serviceman. But his beard was trimmed perfectly. I mean, he maybe was trying to look tough, but he was just kind of, well, I wasn't scared. Let's put it that way. I wasn't intimidated anyway. And I'm not, and I can get, you can get under my skin pretty easy. So anyway, that was weird. It wasn't a driveway. I don't know why you would park in the alley. Then that was also weird because they had a Jeep, and the Jeep was like, it was like windy and not nice yesterday. And the Jeep was all open except for the little, that tarp. I don't know what they call it. The one where you just kind of have and you put it, it's pretty cool. I don't know. That was weird. Then the next part that was weird was as I was leaving, I didn't have the key. They had locked it and put it in the lockbox, which is annoying. They didn't have to do that. They literally could have just left it in the door so I could leave. It wasn't on Supra, Mr. and Mrs. Yell at Me person. So it wasn't like they were that concerned with the security, but it had that stupid showing time thing that I don't know how to use, that I didn't need to use today either. But anyway, we're standing there and we're getting ready to leave. And the next people that pull up or that come in, the agent was a total loser. And it was funny because, I mean, I was the oldest person there. Everyone, and this is a first time home buyer house. I don't think anyone was over the age of 30. But this guy, I mean, not dressed professionally, it's hard to take him seriously when he looks like a clown. And he said, well, he has buyers, so what do you care? It's like, well, I don't care at all, actually. But it was interesting because when we walked past my buyers were like, thank God we don't have that idiot as our agent. I don't know if they think I'm an idiot too, but at least it felt like that was a compliment to me, but who knows? Anyway, that was the showing. Then a frustrating thing happened. I was scheduled to show another house in a different part of town, about an hour away. And I said, I scheduled it and everything. And when I got back to the car for the first showing, let's say in South City, I had to go all the way to Oakville to show the second house. And anyway, when I got there to the car, I got an email that said, hey, the showing's done. So the showing's done, meaning that the house went under contract and we didn't even get a chance to look. That caused some trouble. So, anyway, I have people upstairs that just woke up and they're just creaking on the floors. And if you hear it, I'm sorry. Anyway, so when I got the information that the house had gone pending, my buyers, I knew were going to be disappointed because they were looking forward to seeing the house. So I I texted them because it was the fastest way to get in contact with them. Plus, I know that one of them was at work and one of them wasn't, so I just wanted to get the information as fast as possible. And then what happened is not unusual. If you get your like heart kind of up, or if you get excited about a house and then all of a sudden it feels like it goes under contract and you didn't even get a chance to see it, it feels like the rug has been pulled out from underneath you. And there's like a sadness and a disappointment and frustration that occurs. It's not nearly as bad as when you buy a house or when you put in an offer for a house and you don't get it. It's not even close to being that bad. It's still bad though. And so like then as an agent, your job is to kind of try and just help them get through it. But what's fascinating is normally, like especially in this case, the buyers were like, well, show us another house. Like they were looking for any other house, even though it didn't fit any of their parameters. They're like, show us this house, show us this house. I'm like, these houses don't fit the parameters that you've consistently wanted to look at. I don't, and then the one was just a train wreck, and everything about it was a train wreck. If you have to do a short sale in 2022, okay, right now, there's something wrong. And then it was just bad. Let's just put it that way. So I said no on that one. Then the other one of the people said I want to see it, and the other person said, the other part of the couple said I don't. And so that's no good. That's not helpful. And so I kind of worked through that with them, and now they've set their eyes on a different house coming up. So anyway, that's what I got there. Let's get into some stuff. I'm kind of comfortable now going forward with the show. Let's start off here with the Google Trends article. Now, this isn't to slam CNN. I think that they've done enough to hurt themselves. Here we go. But I don't know if you know about CNN Plus. I think that's the problem. Most of you didn't. And so it disappeared. But that was trending on search this morning. And so I thought I could go over it. Here we go. It says the Edsel, Quibi, and CNN Plus, new additions to business failures, epic business failures. The Edsel, Quibi, New Coke have some new company. Now, there have been these failures of new products over time, and I'm sure we're going to go over them, and I remember some of them. Then there's these failures like, to me, Gillette, where they just killed their brand with their advertising, and now they're trying to make up for it, and it's like, no, you did what you deserved. You got what you deserved. So there's like the unforced errors, I'm ready to go. This is fascinating. I'm ready to go through this. So here we go. It says New York, the Edsel, Quibi, New Coke, the Segway, DeLorean sports cars. The pantheon of colossal business failures has a new member in the CNN Plus streaming service. Now, did you know that Segway had eaten it? I did not know that. I thought I read a story one time that the inventor of the Segway drove his Segway off a cliff when he was testing it and died. I don't know if that's true, but I didn't even know it was dead. Are we not doing Segways anymore? See, that shows you what I know. And then, by the way, the DeLorean sports cars, that was a weird deal. I'm not saying the guy was framed in any way, but anyway, the news network's subscription offering hadn't even been operating for a month before Warner Brothers Discovery announced this week that it would be shutting down on April 30th. I think that one of the reasons for this particular failure was Warner Brothers Discovery owns it now, CNN, and that's like relatively new. And I don't think they were convinced that was a good plan. So they did what they thought they should do. Anyway, it's going to be top 10, said Steve Rosenbaum, executive director of the NYC Media Lab and an expert in business innovation, surveying the lengthy history of products that went belly up. Well, that's kind of interesting. Can you imagine being the guy that studies why businesses fail? Maybe you could learn something from that. I don't know. It says, while CNN minus comments quickly proliferated. It's no joke to the more than 300 people hired for CNN Plus, which was in development for 2 years. CNN is expected to absorb some of those jobs, but there will be layoffs. A clear picture on those numbers is still emerging. The company spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the project, and no one knew when or if losses would be replaced by profits. Well, now that's kind of interesting. I'm good. Let's keep going here. It says, old timers remember the Edsel, a new car model introduced by Ford in 1957 that was poorly made and too expensive. It was discontinued after 2 years, costing Ford an estimated $250 million. The name remembered as a synonym for a business failure long after the car itself was forgotten. And then it's got Coca-Cola. So I didn't remember the Edsel. I'm not that old. But Coca-Cola's attempt to introduce a new flavor in 1985 was dropped in weeks. Except for its cameo role on Back to the Future movies, the DeLorean didn't make a dent. Inventors of the Segway found in 1999 that not many people wanted to spend around $5,000 for a glorified scooter. See, that's how old this is. I didn't even know that they were gone. I mean, seriously, that's how out of touch I am. That's why I need to know like what's going on, like Google Trends. Now, New Coke, I remember. And to me, it didn't. It kind of tasted like Pepsi. But I mean, the marketing was unbelievable. Well, there was clear Pepsi, but they don't talk about that because that's the issue. I mean, that was, to me, a business failure, and it's not in here. The DeLorean was just amazing. Quibi, which is fascinating, short for Quick Bites, had the backing of Hollywood's biggest names and $1.75 billion from investors when the mobile video service was introduced in 2020. It lasted 6 months. Yeesh. 1.75 billion, 6 months. Presciently, reporter Joseph Adelaine recalled that failure in an article for Vulture headlined CNN Plus has Quibi vibes that posted 2 days after launch. Ooh. CNN, in its formative phase, feels somewhat like the Quibi of streaming news. Lots of money has been spent. Big stars are on board, but it's hard to figure out just what the service is supposed to be and why a large number of people will want to pay for it. Rosenbaum, a self-described news junkie, couldn't figure out what CNN Plus offered that was unique and vital to him. He said he never even considered paying the monthly $5.99 fee to subscribe. He said it had lots of famous faces that I can get other places. Now, look, understand, I'm streaming right now to probably one person or two people. Or 5. I mean, my business product, my Deerwood Realty live stream, doesn't appear to be wanted by the masses. Okay, no one seems to want to talk about real estate every day, the real estate market, real estate sales, what to do, advice, stuff like that. It doesn't seem like there's an audience for it. Our Nature of Employment live stream also, I launched that like last month, and it doesn't seem like anybody's really interested in that either. But I'm going to continue because no one's invested $1.5 billion in my company. No one's invested, however, I think it was $300 million or something that they did for CNN Plus. I'm not in that space. Like literally, I do this, for the joy of doing it and hopefully finding some like-minded people out there that like to talk about real estate every day, because I do. Anyway. CNN Plus has a handful of its own news programs, documentaries, and talk shows, but big names like Chris Wallace, Anderson Cooper, and Jamel Hill, and big names but because of cable and satellite contracts, could not offer a streamed version of what most people know CNN for, television networks' continuous news coverage. Okay. So you couldn't get CNN, basically. People can find streaming news in several places. ABC, CBS, and NBC all have their own services, for example, for free. In launching a new business, timing is everything, and their timing couldn't have been worse, said Alan Adamson, co-founder of the marketing firm Metaforce. Streaming services were in a bubble, and everyone knew there was a limit to how many streaming services they would get. When Discovery bought out CNN's previous corporate owner, AT&T, many observers believed CNN Plus would eventually be absorbed into a larger app that also had entertainment offerings. It never got that far, leaving some of its employees shell-shocked at the Thursday meeting when they were told that the service would abruptly close. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, in any business, if you continue to not make money, you're going to go out of business. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's sad. I don't wish it on anyone, but that's what happens. One of the service's biggest champions, former CNN chief Jeff Zucker, was bumped out of the picture on February 1st when he was forced to resign because of not disclosing a romantic relationship with a coworker. Well, that's putting it one way. CNN Plus launched on March 24th, only days before Discovery executives took over. See, that I thought was the big deal. In a sense, that was a business provocation. Why start a project that was the brainchild of a former leadership team just before new leaders were coming with ideas of their own, not to mention a mandate to cut costs? I didn't know that they had a mandate to cut costs. Incoming CNN chief executive Chris in Thursday's meeting with employees likened it to a new owner coming in, seeing a beautiful new house, but declaring he needed an apartment instead. The Discovery team made it clear in the meeting that they didn't think CNN Plus was going to work based on its own experience with streaming. If we're going in a new direction, we can't let it go on one moment more than it needs to, said J.B. Perrett, head of streaming for the new company, in the employee meeting. Now, isn't it ironic that Discovery owns like their own streaming services, and they talk to the head of their streaming company, and they're like, "Hey, man, like, what do you think of this CNN Plus?" And he's like, "This is terrible. Let's get rid of this." It's like, wow, that's not good. So it says Leaked repeatedly praised his staff for the quality of CNN Plus, and there's no way of knowing whether the product itself would have failed if it had a few years to settle in. I don't think they had years. Like they can't continue to take those kinds of losses. And Rosenbaum said he might have been enticed to see if it was worth it with an offer of a few free months. That's the guy that likes news. Time, however, was one thing that CNN Plus did not have. It's a big failure, but not as big as it would have been if it kept going and became a black hole of money. That's exactly right. And once you're once you're losing money over and over and over and over, you can't keep going. That's one thing about my company is I can't lose unlimited amounts of money. Now, you have to understand there are people there are Wall Street investors that specifically invest in companies that they feel like there is some promise somewhere. I think that in the real estate space, in the real estate industry, there's a couple investments going on that are suspicious in the sense that they aren't profitable companies now. They're growing only because of investment by outsiders, and it looks like the goal is just to take away market share. And if that's the goal, by offering discounted services, take up market share, you still have the profitability problem that will come at some point. Like, take over as much of the market as you want. You can't really raise the prices, so where are you going? It doesn't make any sense. And you're going to you've promised an awful lot to the people that have come over to your organizations. And when they watch you do what you need to do to make a profit, they're probably going to leave. Will it be the biggest failure since CNN Plus? No. Different group of people. All right. Well, can you think of any other business failures that were like this? Coke continued, so I don't think that's fair. And I don't know that the segue exists. I feel really bad about that, but I'll look into it. Okay. Moving on. Let's look at rates. Now, here's what's kind of funny. 30-year fix came in at 5.39% yesterday. There won't be any trading today. Only increased 1 basis point from the day before. But boy, I talked to one of my lenders and they were like, "Man, today is just brutal out there. Just brutal." I'm like, "Well, did you not look at the rates recently? Because it's been brutal for the whole week." But I didn't say that because oftentimes I will not get commentary unsolicited about rates from a mortgage lender. They typically like to not talk about that. Now, can you go to a bank tomorrow and get 5.39% on a loan on a 30-year fixed conventional? No. Probably be like 5.6, 5.7%. It's going to be high. Why is that? Well, they need to make money in the spread. That's how they make it. And fees. Anyway, that's where we're at. Can we go higher? Yes. Do we want to go higher? No. No, we don't. No, we don't. You say, well, that's going to crush the housing market. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I showed you the articles yesterday that one said that we weren't going to have a problem and the other one said we were. I don't know which is going to go. It doesn't matter. I've set up my business so that this is what I do. I help buyers buy homes. I help sellers sell homes. Doesn't really matter which way the market goes for me. In fact, in my worst year, which was last year ever in business, the market was on fire for sellers. It was terrible for me. I was overweight buyers, and I just couldn't get anywhere. So that being said, I'm going to move on to some more great content. We're going to go look at luxury homes in Boston, Massachusetts. Now, please forgive me. I had to take notes on this one. Some of the homes that are currently, oh my God, I'm showing you a house before you're supposed to see it. Some of the houses that I wanted to show you, I've seen already. And so we can't have that. So I have a list today of ones that I haven't seen before and you haven't seen before. And we start off with this particular house here. 11 bedrooms, 11 baths, $9.2 million, 7,950 square feet on a 2,300-acre lot. But I don't think that's true because I think it's a townhouse. I don't think there's any lot at all. Let's take a look. So this is the only picture that we look at. This is the only thing that we look at that's going to have the picture of the front. Everything else is completely the inside picture first. The house was built in 1864. It's been on the market 10 days. I don't know. Do you want to read the property details? I guess I do, but first I want to see how's it doing. Okay, got listed 315. Now it's been changed and listed again at 412. And so this is 423. It says, we are pleased to present the extraordinary opportunity to acquire 18 Commonwealth Avenue, located on the south side of Commonwealth Avenue in the Back Bay. Between Arlington and Berkeley Street, 18 Commonwealth is situated on one of the most revered blocks in all of Boston, Massachusetts. 18 Commonwealth currently consists of 11 studio apartments and about 8,000 square feet of space and has 4 exterior parking spaces in the rear. 18 Commonwealth Avenue is a trophy address by every measurable standard. The spectacular location offers residents an unimaginable living experience with the proximity to classic Boston amenities such as the Boston Public Garden, the Commonwealth Avenue Mall, a wealth of shopping options along Newbury Street, as well as access to a multitude of transportation options. 18 Commonwealth is uniquely positioned to be converted to luxury condominiums or a single-family residence. So it's just the whole place. It's like the whole building. So I think it's this one, I guess. I don't know. I mean, this isn't going to help. You say, John, did you do any research on this? No, because see, I thought it was going to be like this. That didn't help at all. That was terrible. Man, we are flailing. So then I'd seen all these other ones, and so then we get to this one. I think this is the next one. Okay, here we go. And so here we get to see the inside of one. 11 days on the market, built in 1890. Magnificent renovated single-family townhouse. So it's connected on a quiet tree-lined street in the premier South End location. This impeccably designed 4-bed, 2-bath, and 2-half-bath home features a spacious, family-friendly layout plus a backyard oasis roof deck and 2 parking spaces. The elegant parlor level features the front-facing dining room and gourmet kitchen with direct access to the backyard. 1 floor above is the grand formal living room, ideal for entertaining, plus a library and home office. An entire floor is dedicated to the primary suite, showcasing a luxurious 5-piece marble bath and dressing room. On the garden level, an informal family media room connects to the backyard. Additional features include refined millwork and finishes from the meticulous renovation, soaring ceilings, new HVAC, complete electrical update throughout, and refinished hardwood floors, perfectly positioned to enjoy all that the South End has to offer. This beautiful home offers city living at its finest. All right. So here we go. Let's take a look. We're not going to see like parking places. I know that in Boston is a big deal. 7.25 million, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 4,220 square feet. I mean, it's here. It says it. So we got to keep going. I mean, it's true. But there's your, I guess, living room. It's funny to me, like it's 4,000 square feet, but there's gonna be areas like this picture right here. That's not a big space. You know, you're gonna have these. I mean, the kitchen's good size. Don't get me. I'm not trying to criticize it. I'm just saying because the house was built in 1890. Oh, look at that. You know, there's gonna be these like unique spaces. They built houses differently then. That's kind of interesting. Here's your bathtub. I mean, have we seen all the bedrooms? The problem I have with this and every other house is I need a floor plan. Like, this is your backyard oasis, by the way. And there's your rooftop. I mean, it's cool, right? No one's going to argue that. Let's look at one more. I don't want to rush through stuff today, but at the same time, I need to get going. Like I said, I got to do some showings. You've got stuff to do wherever you are. Let's look at the last one. Here it is, 161. Now, I think, did I mess up? Let me look again. Okay, here we go. I wanted this one. This is 4.9 million, 5 beds, 4.5 baths, 4,300 square feet. I thought this was interesting, and I've seen this. I saw this in a house in St. Louis once, and I thought it was really cool. It's a very small house, but it had this big room where you entered, and it was open like this, and the walls were similar. The brick interior walls. It was very fascinating, and when I saw that house, when I saw this house, I was reminded of that, and I just wanted to kind of bring you along because I thought it was a cool design. 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, 4,300 square feet. But that is a very interesting space. It's kind of square, and this is, I mean, I hate to say it, but the house it's in Tower Grove South, and it's across Grand, so maybe Tower Grove East, but anyway, in St. Louis. But this is the exact house, and then in this space, there's a kitchen right there in that house. And then it goes upstairs. And I thought this was cool. I mean, the exposed beams. And with that high ceiling, I mean, you would feel like the space would be you would feel like it's a big open space, even if it's not that big. I hate double pictures. It just irritates me, but whatever. And then you've got these little cute spaces. Now, this is a big house. Now, understand, my house is probably 1,500 square feet with a basement. This house is 4,300 square feet. So it's huge. I mean, just huge compared to what I'm used to. But I mean, look at the little kitchen area. It's how they use space differently in different times. This house was built in 1908. My house was built in 1959. It's got electric baseboard heating. But, one of the things I think that I would say is, even in St. Louis, people have made the most of their space. So, like, if their space is, if the house is built in the 1900s, obviously they've tried to add on as best they can. And so when you're buying something, it's a question of, do you want something that's all hacked up? This is tastefully done, but of course, this is also almost $5 million. Compare that house to the one we saw last night. I think they were asking like 180. I mean, it wasn't like, you can spend. Thank you for the floor plan. Thank you. That's nice. That's the way it should be. Every house, especially these types of homes, should always have a look at that view. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let me check the chat just to make sure no one's like angry or upset. Let's continue. Although I got a call from an agent on one of my deals. And so now I'm like, what's wrong? Always what's wrong. It's never no one, people don't typically call you on a Saturday morning to tell you like, hey, good news. We'll find out. All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the addresses on my notes because I don't think that it's relevant, and I don't want to go. Now we got two articles, and then we're going to go. Okay. Let's get to that. This one I saw in Realty Times, and I kind of like it. And let's just go over. It says, when real estate agents refer lenders. I'm going to kind of read through it and then talk about it from my perspective. It says, when you make the decision to buy a home, or at least just exploring the idea, one of the first things you should do is go find a great real estate agent to get things rolling. Your agent will walk you through the entire process from the very beginning to the settlement table. Your agent will answer all your questions as well as ask many of their own. Where do you want to live? What's important to you? Are top quality public schools a priority? Do you want to live close to where you work? How many bedrooms do you think you'll need? Do you plan on growing your family? And many, many more. You know what's odd is a lot of times, like new home buyer, they called me last night. They're like, this is what we want. Bam, bam, bam. I didn't really have to ask that many questions. Only questions to clarify what they were saying. So that was interesting. But before these agents get too far in the question process, they want to know if you've spoken with a lender. Further, they'll want to know if you've been pre-approved for a mortgage. Agents will be there to answer questions, but before you get in their car to look at homes, very seldom do I ever have anybody get in my car. They want to know if you're able to qualify for financing the house you ultimately will want to buy. Most agents will also provide you with some names of local mortgage loan officers should you work with a lender referred to you by a real estate agent. All right, that's the question. Let me pose another question: is who should you talk to first, a lender or a real estate agent? It's kind of interesting to me. I'll have it happen both ways. I'll have people that already looked out and reached out to lenders, and I've had people that reach out to me first and then look to go from there. So anyway, let's see if they can answer the question. It says, first of all, real estate agents don't refer a loan officer due to any financial interest. That means like, hey, no one's paying me to refer an agent, a mortgage officer, or lender. Loan officers don't pay real estate agents for leads, but real estate agents do have a bona fide interest as it relates to which loan officer and mortgage company you're ultimately going to land. Why? It's because the agents want some assurances that the selected loan officer will be able to carry the ball past the goal line. There have been too many times where a contract is signed and appraisal is ordered, and soon, about 2 or 3 weeks into the process, the loan application is declined. Agents do quite a bit of work up front and only get paid when the deal closes. If the loan doesn't close, all that work is wasted. When you get a referral for a lender from your agent, you can be assured that the agent has successfully worked with that loan officer in the past. Agents have a reputation they need to uphold, and having deals fall out at the last minute hurts. It's almost like this guy knows what he's talking about. It's like he knows me. He's in my head. Agents want to show homes with confidence to those who have not only applied for a mortgage, but have also been pre-approved with income, credit, and assets verified. Agents want the assurance that once their buyers have applied with a lender they've used in the past, they can pretty much put the transaction on autopilot. That never happens. They're still involved with the step-by-step process, but let the transaction play itself out. Remember, agents represent buyers and sellers all day long, every day. They know what they're doing, and if someone hits a bump in the road, they're there to fix it, if something. You're certainly not obligated to use a lender referred to you by your agent, but when doing so, you can bet the chosen lender is experienced, knowledgeable, and indeed gets the ball past the goal line on time as promised. So let's talk about Deerwood Realty and lenders. I do have 2 lenders that I recommend to my buyers. Why is that? I'll tell you why. One, there's just like real estate agents, there can be crappy loan officers, mortgage brokers. They can be terrible. So that's one issue. The second issue is when I get a pre-approval from one of the people that I work with, I have a good feeling that that's the real number. You see, some people will give you a pre-approval without even looking at your stuff, your paperwork. They'll just say, here you go, you're pre-approved for this number. And then when you get to signing a contract to purchase a house, when they start doing their due diligence that they should have done long before, all of a sudden they're like, hey man, they can't afford this house. And you're like, then what? Why did you tell me that? So that's not a good feeling. Another thing is, most lenders that I know, if I say, hey, I need to get this done today. Can I get this done today? Can we close on the loan this date? They say yes. And then they do it. Very seldom do we ever have to go around and around and around and say oh no, we can't close, which I hate it. Anyway, so that's why. Now, some people have said, well, that's not right. You shouldn't refer. You should let people find their own lender. You're out of your gourd. You're out of your gourd. Why would I do that? If my income is dependent on closing a loan, like closing a deal on a house and representing the buyer, you think I'm going to leave that up to chance to fail? How does the potential buyer know more about getting a deal done than I do? You see where I'm coming from? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. Now that's true. I don't get paid to refer my lenders. I don't want their money. I just want them to treat my clients the best they possibly can. That's all. That's all. Now I had some notes, and I want to just go over them real quick, just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Here's how I look at it. One, I will refer, if I think that you're a certain personality, I refer you to one lender. If I think you're a different kind of personality, I refer you to a different lender. I want to have somebody that you can feel comfortable working with. Okay. And that's issue number one. And the issue number two is, you know what? Sometimes people bring their own lenders to me. Okay. When we're doing a deal, some buyers will say, hey, I know this person. They're my sister's best friend. And you know what? We use those people. And I'd say 8 out of 10 times those people are wonderful to work with. 8 out of 10 times. It doesn't really enter a fee situation. That is, we don't say like, oh, this lender is more expensive than this lender, because most of the time it's apples versus oranges. So like if you get a lower rate, you're probably paying more in fees. You know, it works itself out. At the end of the day, you just want to close. That's the most important thing. You got to close on your loan. The day that they set in the offer for the day you're going to buy the house needs to be the day that you actually do. Because understand, like the seller may be counting on you to sell, or counting on you to buy their house so they can go buy something else or close on something that they've made an offer on. It's possible. It's possible. Maybe they're trying to move out of the country or something. I don't know. My point is just you need to close on time, and you need to have lenders that get their stuff done. And the other thing about a good lender is, like when I first start working with someone, if the lender says we can't really do anything with this person, we need to work with them over time and get their credit situation improved. You need a lender that'll actually follow up with those people over time. You know, here I found someone that wants to buy a house and they can't because they can't get a loan. That's not where it ends for me. You have to continue to work with those people and keep them in the loop so that someday, hopefully they can buy a house and put some equity into something and go from there. So, yes, I do refer lenders. Yes, I do think it's a good thing to do. No, I don't care if you think it's bad. And that's where I'm at on that. Next one. This will be the last article. It's the March 2022 Housing Trends Report. This is from Realtor.com. And there's some bullet points. And this is very similar to what you'll see on Redfin. We're just going to do the bullet points and go from there. Okay. It says, the national inventory of active listings declined by 18.9% over last year, which is why the prices are so high, while the total inventory of unsold homes, including pending listings, declined by 12.5%. The inventory of active listings was down 62% compared to 2020, right at the onset of the pandemic. In other words, for every 5 homes available for sale in the earlier period, today there are just 2. It's right. There's just no inventory. I was hoping that with this spring rush, there would be some more inventory. It's not looking great, to be honest with you. I really, like last week, some of my buyers were were shut out. There was nothing even to look at. Newly listed homes were down 3.4% nationally compared to a year ago, and down 5% for large metros over the past year. Sellers still listed at rates 12.2% lower than typical 2017 to 2019 levels prior to the pandemic. Let me just see if I can understand this again, because it didn't make sense. Sellers still listed at rates 12% lower than typical 20. Okay, so I think that what they're saying is there's still low inventory. People aren't listing their homes. I'm guessing. The March national median listing price for active listings was $405,000, up 13.5% compared to last year, and up 26% compared to March 2020. In a large metro, median listing prices grew by 9.1% compared to last year on average. I have to cough. Nationally, the typical home spent 38 days on the market in March, down 11 days from the same time last year and 21 days from March of 2020. Two things. One, if a house is coming soon, it doesn't show up on the it doesn't show up as the days on market. And number two, if you put a house on the market on Thursday and it goes under contract on Sunday or Monday, I mean, it's a pending listing. It's not really a great days on market situation or anything like that. I think as long as I've been an agent, if it's a nice house, it sells on the first weekend and priced right. If it's not, it takes longer. That's where your variations are in the home market. It's these ones, the outside on the edges. And I mean, is it a perfect distribution? I don't know about that. I mean, it's just the houses in the middle sell and then they move out, and the ones that don't sell can go, months on the market. I know one house in Florissant right now that is a terrible house. They've got it priced way too high, and I don't know why they've priced it that high. I can only think it's an iBuyer service. Number one, they don't care because they make it up on volume, and number two, they bought the house for some price and they don't want to take a hit. It's the only things I can figure out. So it says Realtor.com's March housing data release reveals that the 1-2 punch of rising interest rates and all-time high listing prices has moderated demands for homes. I don't agree with that. The decline in churn of listings, consistent with recent slowdowns as reported for new and existing home sales, had led to slight inventory improvements despite a lack of growth in newly listed homes. While the median list price has reached a new all-time high, a greater share of listings are seeing price reductions as sellers adjust to a moderation in buyer demand. The spring's home buying season is expected to be less competitive than last year. However, activity is still elevated compared to other recent years. Okay, maybe nationally, right now it's very, very strong in St. Louis. Very, very strong. Not a fun time. So with that, I'm going to head out. Got a strange day. I don't think I'm going to get like the thumbnail updated on the show or the notes or anything done until later today. I will be here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Time. To go over more real estate news and enjoyment of Google search trends and whatnot. I hope you can be here. What did we learn today? Well, we learned that there's homes in Boston, mostly townhomes, and they don't take the front of. They don't take a picture of the front of them. I don't know why. I thought that's kind of weird. Number two, we learned that CNN Plus was a failure, epic failure. That's all you can say about it. But there were reasons. That were stated. We learned that I will oftentimes, if someone asks me for the referral for a lender, I will often give one because I want to know, what are you approved to buy? And then I also want to work with someone that I believe can get the job done. And we learned that the housing market nationally seems to have slowed down in March, at least to this article. But at the same time, I'm telling you, in St. Louis right now, it's still very, very hot. So with that, I'm going to head on out. If you're watching this later, if you could do me one favor and that's subscribe. I need subscribers because it feeds my ego. I have a very fragile ego. I don't like failing, and I don't like the fact that I only have 7 subscribers on my live stream. It's 2022. My 13-year-old could make a YouTube video tomorrow and have 1,000 followers that day. That's how out of the times I am. That's how disconnected my friends are from things like Google and YouTube. So I need you out there, all of you consumers, to subscribe if you can. That would help me out a lot. Thank you for watching. I will catch you tomorrow. Same